Welcome to This Explainer. Have you ever set a massive goal, bought the fancy new planner, felt that absolutely incredible surge of motivation, only to just hit a solid wall of burnout a few weeks later? Honestly, it happens to all of us. But today, we're going to calmly unpack the science of bridging that gaping canyon between your abstract, big picture visions and your daily momentum. And we're going to do this using a grounded, tactical execution framework that literally rewires how you approach your personal growth. So here's our roadmap for today. We'll start with the canyon of failure, move through the neurological bouncer, establish your four sensory pillars, explore the 1-minute ritual, architect your execution, and finally build your sacred circle. All right, let's jump right into section 1, the canyon of failure. You know, most personal growth simply stops at the execution gap, because relying entirely on a finite battery of willpower pretty much guarantees burnout. We usually fall into one of two traps here. On one side, we've got the dreamers. They're out there building magnificent sky castles, creating beautiful vision boards, and feeling very spiritually aligned, but they completely lack the boots on the ground steps to make any of it real. On the exact opposite side, we have the grinders. They execute these highly optimized to-do lists with absolute military precision. But eventually, they hit a wall of hollow burnout because, well, they're efficiently climbing a ladder that's leaning against the wrong wall. To cross this canyon, we have to fundamentally invert the traditional societal script. From childhood, we're taught have, do, become. We think, okay, if I have a successful business, I'll do the grueling work, and then I will finally become confident. But we need to do a complete inversion into a much more sustainable sequence. Become, do, have. You must cultivate and embody the identity of your future self first. When your internal identity actually matches your external goals, you totally eliminate the reliance on finite willpower.
Moving right along to section 2, the neurological bouncer.
Now, this is where it gets really fascinating, because this phase relies on a very real biological mechanism to filter your reality. We aren't just talking about abstract positive thinking here. We're talking about your brain's actual wiring. Meet your brain's strict VIP bouncer, the reticular activating system, or RAS. Every single day, you are bombarded with millions of bits of sensory data. If your conscious mind tried to process all of it, you'd just shut down. So the RAS actively filters out 99% of it, only letting in information that aligns with your current focus. Think of it like buying a new red car. Suddenly, you see red cars literally everywhere. The cars were always there. Your bouncer just wasn't prioritizing them. But here's the catch. If your current mindset is anchored in chronic stress or imposter syndrome, your RAS actively hides the resources, conversations, and opportunities that could actually help you succeed. So, how do you train this bouncer? You have to activate a vision of your success using a very specific timeline. And no, not 5 years. Why? Cognitive science. If you visualize a goal 5 years out, your brain's prefrontal cortex creates an empathy gap. It treats your future self like a total stranger, which makes it incredibly easy to procrastinate. Conversely, if your massive goal is only 1 month away, it triggers the amygdala, your threat detection system, and you panic. So 1 year is the sweet spot. It's close enough to avoid that empathy gap, but long enough to allow for radical transformation without triggering fear. As you envision this 1-year leap, you also have to ask your future self what you need to let go of. Personal growth is so often about subtraction, shedding the old armor that just doesn't serve you anymore. Keep in mind this really powerful truth. Perfectionism is just fear wearing a tuxedo. It looks elegant, it looks professional, but underneath it's just a defense mechanism stopping you from acting. Confidence comes from taking action, for sure, not from being perfect. Which brings us to section 3, the 4 sensory pillars. To set these pillars up for day 1, you've got to build a high-resolution, highly specific mental map of your fully realized success exactly 1 year from today. Instead of passively daydreaming, deliberately outline your vision using 4 key categories. First, identity. Who are you becoming? Instead of just seeing yourself as someone doing freelance work on the side, visualize yourself as a decisive founder who absolutely does not apologize for their pricing. Second, environment. Ground your vision with high-definition physical details. Imagine the exact sunlit workspace, the texture of a heavy oak desk right under your hands, or specific scents like fresh coffee or bergamot in the air. Third, connection. Detail exactly how you're interacting with the people around you. For instance, envision how collaborative and deeply respectful your future clients or team members are. And then we have the 4th, and honestly, the most critical pillar, emotion. You cannot just aim for a vague, floating feeling of success. To completely ground this exercise, you must localize the exact physical feeling of achieving your goal in your actual body. Think of feeling a lightness in your chest or the distinct physical sensation of an unclenched jaw. By clearly defining these 4 pillars, you gather the concrete sensory data needed to actually start retraining your brain.
Let's look at Section 4, the 1-minute ritual.
With our high-definition map belt, we have to translate this internal vision into a concrete behavioral output. We have to literally hand that neurological bouncer its new VIP list. How? Open a voice memo app and record a 1-minute sensory-rich description of your success aloud, speaking entirely in the present tense. Then you listen to it every single day. Let's be real and normalize the friction here. Hearing your own successful voice declare these things out loud will create intense cognitive dissonance at first. Your brain prefers the familiar, even if the familiar is chronic stress. But this daily repetition is exactly how you manually normalize the success, dramatically reducing fear and actively training your RAS to flag new opportunities. Now, when you face self-doubt, standard declarative affirmations, like looking in the mirror and forcing yourself to say, "I am a millionaire," often just trigger the brain's lie detector. Instead, we use affirmations, spelled with an O, empowering questions. The human brain is basically a search engine. It cannot resist answering a question posed to it. When you ask, "Why am I perfectly capable of stepping into my authentic life?" your brain instantly scans your memory banks for evidence of your past victories, bypassing that lie detector entirely. Moving right along to Section 5, architecting your execution. This is where we bring that spiritual alignment down to the gritty physical world. Before taking any action, you've got to use an inner guidance check-in. Does this action move me toward my authentic self? Aligned work isn't always glamorous, you guys. Sitting down to do your quarterly taxes absolutely protects the vision of a legally sound business. This check-in isn't designed to help you avoid difficult work. It's designed to help you avoid misaligned work, like impulsively reacting to a societal should or taking on a toxic client just out of fear. To eliminate the paralysis of a massive goal, you must wipe out ambiguity, because ambiguity breeds procrastination. You use the what, when, where execution system. First, the what. Define the precise task with a hard finish line, like draft the 500-word About Us page instead of a vague work on website. The when, schedule it as a non-negotiable calendar appointment. And the where, create a frictionless, pre-prepped environment. Leave the document open on your laptop the night before, put your phone in another room. You want to remove the micro-decisions so that doing the actual work becomes the absolute path of least resistance. And finally, Section 6, the sacred circle. Look, isolation is the absolute quietest threat to your momentum. You cannot do this in a vacuum. You need to carefully curate a sacred circle of just 1 to 3 deeply trusted individuals, distinctly separating their roles. Your friends and family are there for moral support and love, but honestly, they often make terrible strategic mentors because their primary goal is just to keep you safe from risk. That's exactly why you need mentors who offer the wisdom of lived experience and coaches who provide rigorous, unbiased tracking without buying into your excuses the way a sympathetic family member might. And with this circle, you must engage in a weekly integration ritual to celebrate your progress. When you consciously share specific, tangible, small wins, you trigger dopamine. Dopamine is fundamentally misunderstood as just a pleasure chemical. It's actually the molecule of motivation. Celebrating actively wires your brain to associate hard action with feeling rewarded, turning goal pursuit from a draining chore into a self-fueling cycle. Which leaves us with one final provocative thought that grounds everything we've explored today. If your future self is a mentor who already possesses the exact confidence and success you're seeking, what happens if you stop making decisions based on your current limitations? What happens if you treat every mundane choice today, from how you format an email to a difficult client to what you eat for breakfast, as a direct, non-negotiable instruction from the person you are destined to become? The power to change isn't waiting for you in the distant future. It's hidden right here in the friction of the choices you make today. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.